Hi, I'm Michael Newrock, and welcome to today's market analysis video for January 9, 2017, on behalf of TradersElite.com. This is the second week of the new year. I hope you're having a good one. The markets are just starting to take off. We did have a couple of good moves last week that we were able to take advantage of, and that our indicators picked up. Now, there are three indicators that we use with Traders Elite. You get access to all of them if you're a premium member. If you're not, then consider upgrading. It gives you a world more of opportunities than just waiting for signals to be published. First of all, we have the trend catcher indicator. That is these big arrows here, which give us guidance to the inception of new trends forming on that particular time frame. We have the price slip indicator, which are these small arrows here that are great to be taken in conjunction with the overall trend that you're trading on that particular time frame, as well as looking at opportunities at extreme levels like these ones here. Here's another one with the trend, another one here that's just occurred. And finally, we have the macro levels indicator, which are these horizontal lines, and they give us a indication of what the institutions are looking at. The lines in the sand they are looking at, they're based on weekly and monthly time frames, so they're based on historical data that are going months back, even years, for us to be able to determine what those levels are. They're key support and resistance levels. They're similar to support and resistance levels that you would find on your current time frame that you're trading, but they're even more important because they provide us with those institutional buy zones and sell zones that the big guys are looking at. That are looking at positional trading where they're entering trades and holding them for a while. So they're great to be used in conjunction with the trend catcher trades and the price flip trades, or even on their own. Okay, so let's get started. We'll flick over to gold. We're on the 4-hour time frame here. Now, last week we said that gold short provided that the price remains below 1168. So what we've got is we've seen it just surpass 1168 recently in the later part of last week. But at this stage, it's still early days, and if we get a dip below 1168, that would coincide with a new trend trade forming. Now, the reason why I am still looking at short trades on this is because on the weekly, we're very much on the downward trend, and this over the last couple of weeks is nothing much more at this stage than a correction as we had early on in the trend. So weekly it's down. Daily, a new daily trend trade has formed in the last few days, but it is starting to fade out over here. So it really depends on whether price is going to be supported at that 1168 level or whether it's going to dip below. If it dips below, then there could be a good opportunity to go short. I'm not saying that it won't necessarily go and rally one more time to say 1191, but it really depends on the price action that we can see now and over the coming half a day to a day. Okay, euro. Now on this, let's get rid of this, sorry. Euro short while price remains below 105.22. So what happened? Again, it did pop up, but it's fallen back down. It's sitting right on that 105.22 level. So let's have a look at the greater time frame. Weekly, it's down, and over the longer term, it's been down quite a bit since 2014. We've had this consolidationary period here, but right now we're still in the midst of this downward trend. Daily, we have had, it's very similar to gold actually, a technical daily uptrend, but really it's collapsed on itself. So similar to gold, we'll see how it goes at this 105.22. If it dips under, again, that would coincide with a new trend trade forming on the 4-hour, and it might be a good opportunity to short it. We'll just see how price action goes. If it pops back up rallying up, then it could be an opportunity to go long on a scalping trade or lock in your profits as you go and trail the price for as long as it takes you. We may get a rally back up to this level, or even to try to test this high here. But if it surpasses that, then 107.12. But at this stage, I'm still looking at short trades, and I think many traders would agree that that is still a valid opportunity to look for. Okay, pound. Last week we said short provided price remains below 124.82. So 124.82, it did stay below that. We did get a rally. We got a collapse on itself as well, and this one has continued to fall a fair distance. So, it's looking a little bit oversold here on this 4-hour chart, but if we look at the weekly, there's no real hint even that that the trend is changing. It's still really in the midst of this giant downward move. Daily, it's down as well, and 4 hours down. So I'd be looking at opportunities to short the pound, either just the pound versus the US, or possibly the pound on another pair. We'll take a look and see what other opportunities are available. Euro pound. Okay, this is an interesting one. It went a little further than we thought it would. Short provided price remains below 85.05. 85.05. It actually did bust through that, and at this stage, it's looking like there could be a possibility of a reversal of trend. Now, we did have, this is on the weekly time frame, we did have that reversal, and at the time, I thought, well, this is definitely, or very likely, a start of a new trend to the downside, and it still may be. We've had that correction, and it's similar to what we've seen in other pairs, but at this stage, it's looking like it could be turning. On the daily, it is upward as well. So technically, on the weekly, it is still in negative territory, and we've got the MACD here below the horizontal line, which still indicates that price is under pressure. And it depends, I guess, on what's going to happen at this 86.36 level. If we see it stop here and then reverse, then it could be a good opportunity to short it down towards 85 again. If it surpasses that, then trail it as far as you can go. Okay, pound Swiss, the reversal of the euro pound last week, and for the last couple of weeks, we've suggested long, provided price remains above 126.47. Now it didn't, as you would think, being the reversal of the euro pound. They've had very mirror images of each other. So in this one, we had an upward weekly trend trade, but it's collapsed on itself. On the daily, it's moving downward, and on the 4-hour, it's downward. So there could be an opportunity there. But at this stage, it really just depends on price action. Are we going to get it to see 126.47 again? And if we are, is it going to bust through? Last week, it came very close, but got stopped, right on the level there. So it's a bit of a tough call, both the euro pound and the pound Swiss at this stage. There's easier opportunities right now, and as I always suggest, it's always good to assess what opportunities exist in the marketplace, and then zoom and target in on the pairs that are looking more definite. Okay, Aussie, that's the AUD USD. And last week we said short provided price remains below 72.67. It's gone a little bit above, but at this stage we're still in the midst and the early stages of a weekly downward trend. On the daily, it hasn't changed over as yet, and it's looking pretty flat over the last couple of days. So I think today is going to be a fairly critical day and set the tone for a lot of pairs and their direction. So the next 24 hours is pretty much critical. If we come back down underneath 72.67, that would be a good sign to look at. And again, it would coincide, like a couple of the other pairs that we've seen, in a new trend catcher trend trade with the fast-moving average crossing over the slow-moving average. So that's the one to look. If it's supported at 72.67, then it may be an opportunity to go long up towards 73.85, but wait to see what happens at that level. At this stage, if you were long, that's great. Trend catcher caught a nice one here and also price slip here. So it would just be a matter of keeping your stops, fairly tight to be able to capitalize on any trades if the price moves against you, but liberal enough to allow it to go as far as you possibly can. Okay, Kiwi, fairly similar, although in this one the crossover has already occurred on the 4 hour, whereas on the Aussie it hasn't. So on the weekly, we are in the midst of a downward trend. It's not a very strong downward trend, but it is nevertheless, and it's weak on the daily. So we've had a bit of a correction, but still technically in a downward move. So downward on the weekly, downward on the daily, and a new trend trade forming on the 4 hour. So could be a good opportunity to short this pair down towards 68.97. And if you look at the Aussie Kiwi, you can see here that it's been going upward. So it's been fairly, drifting sideways to down, but very, very slightly on the weekly. New trend trade has formed on the daily. The end of today, we'll get a confirmation of that, but it's emerging at this stage. And on the 4 hour, it certainly has seen some upward movement. So out of the two, that gives us the clue that the Aussie is stronger than the Kiwi right now. So if you're going to short anything, then between those two, then the Kiwi may be the better option. Okay, dollar CAD. Last week we said, I think I didn't mention, last week on the Kiwi we said short provided price remains below 69.78, and just going back to it, 69.78 right there. So in the next 3 hours we'll see a closer candle depending on your charts and the broker that you use and what time they have their charts set to. But sometime in the near or immediate future we could get a crossover. If it busts over 69.78, then obviously all bets are off on that, but at this stage it's looking short. So back to the dollar CAD. Dollar CAD long provided price remains above 132.60. 132.60. Okay, we've dipped just below that, and in the last market analysis a few days ago, it was around over here, and I was suggesting that wait until this 32.60 level. Now it's been zigzagging around a little bit. The risk is still to the downside on the 4 hour time frame, but if we look at the weekly, it has been going up. Not a very strong movement upward in the more recent past, but overall since 2014, well, it has moved quite considerably. Daily, this is interesting. We've had a new daily downward trend. So 132.60 is the level to watch once again. If it closes below 132.60, then we could get more movement to the downside. But at this stage, I would be looking, and I think many traders would agree, that if we get a movement up above that 132.60 macro level, that would coincide with a new trend catcher trade to the upside, and it could be a great opportunity to go long up to 134.57 or even 136.06. And I think this is really the theme. If you've picked up by now, there's a pattern forming, and this week, in trading, sometimes there's no trades for days. Well, there's always trades, but the big moves, the big more so overall moves. And it's looking like there's a possibility of quite a few pairs going into new big trend trades, new big moves, multi-hundred pip moves sometime this week. So keep an eye out. If you don't have your indicators installed, then please download them, install them, use them, look through the training guides, and make sure that you attend these webinars as well. We will be having some system trading workshops, just on a side note, in a few weeks' time. They are really exciting. We're just wanting to make them perfect. So we'll be starting them very shortly, so make sure you look out for that. Dollar Swiss. Okay, last week we said long provided price remains above 101.29. Now, I should add at this stage that prior to Christmas and then during that Christmas New Year period, I was talking about the big reset where we had pairs that were either overbought or oversold that were likely to have a move against their overall position, and that's exactly what happened. And the dollar Swiss is an example of that. It was, looking at busting through this 103.28, but just couldn't do it, and we had a collapse after it tested it a couple of times. This was almost a price flip. If the close was just a little bit above, it would have been technically a nice one, but certainly still caught it as a macro level. Now we're seeing this argy-bargy happening, action happening. It's very, wedge-like, if you like. And on the weekly, we're upward on the weekly, recent downward on the daily, but it retracted on itself pretty quickly. It's the next day after the move, it's gone back up, and it's still looking like there's a lot of move in it because, as you can imagine, there are bulls in this trade from quite some time back. Over in the last few weeks, couple of months. Right back if we look historically. So weekly, it's upward. Daily, it is technically downward. However, we have a swing. The risk is still to the downside in the daily, but it is competing against a weekly upward trend. Okay, and if we get a new trend trade to this, right now, then it provides more confidence of another rally up towards 130, 103.28 rather. And that's what we're looking at to bust through. Now, if it fails this time, we might see it drift back down to 101.29. There could be a good opportunity here to go long, but again, it depends on the price action at those particular levels. Dollar yen, we published a long trade last week. It's hit target 1. It's halfway to target 2, which is positioned just below this macro level here at 117.93. So weekly, very strong upward trend as we see on pretty much all the yen trades. Daily upward, it did give a temporary downward trend trade here. However, it wasn't confirmed until then. It just really collapsed on itself, and there was just too much momentum with the bulls in command, right back from September and before, pushing it upward. So weekly upward, daily, well, we're certainly in an upward swing, and soon to be a new upward trend trade, just reversing on itself on that recent one, and 4-hour daily. So there's still good opportunities here, I would say, for the price to move upward towards 119, 120, 121, or even above. There's a lot of things happening in the world, obviously, so that's certainly going to help. If there are going to be any alarms, though, I'll just add there from a fundamental point of view, the yen is still a safe haven, even though Japanese economy, it's debatable on how it's been in the doldrums over the last decade or so, but nevertheless still a safe haven, so watch out for that. Apart from that, we're still very much long on the dollar yen for any opportunities. Obviously, if you're on a shorter term time frame, say the 1 hour, then you would have been in a position. This was actually a beautiful one here. As you can see, the trend trade occurred and it closed just above this 116.13 macro level, and that's actually close to where we actually took the dollar yen last week and published it to our members. Now, euro yen, also long on the 4-hour. Let's look at the weekly. It's long on the weekly, and it's just past this 123.31 level that, if you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks here, it's just been, well, actually 5 weeks. It stopped just short, and then it's been closing just short of it for the last, so 5 weeks. It's been acting as a level of resistance. So weekly long, daily long, and 4-hour long, at this stage, it's long all the way through, and it may have the momentum now to push up towards 126.10, or certainly, upwards towards halfway towards those levels. It's just a matter now of being able to to get in. Obviously, a macro levels trade has just occurred here. You could have even taken it here. So we're confident on the euro yen as far as its direction of long at this stage. Pound yen, okay, 4 hour, it's technically to the downside, but weekly it is upward. Daily, technically to the downside, and the 4 hour to the downside. So I wouldn't be looking at going long on the pound yen. I think that's more of an issue about the pound going through its doldrums and continuing to be pushed down, as we can see with the pound Swiss recently, and with the pound itself against the US dollar. So put that one on the sidelines, but certainly dollar yen and euro yen are good long opportunities potentially. Okay, Aussie yen. We can see here upward on the weekly, a new daily trend trade is, debatably imminent at this stage, but that's only if price closes, over the next day or day and a half at around this level or above, even a little below, but it wouldn't be as strong. But certainly upward on the weekly, upward on the daily, and on the 4 hour, we are upward in the midst of a upward 4 hour trend trade. So 86.40 is the initial target of locking in profits, and then we wouldn't be surprised if it went up towards that around 87.50 level. Okay, Kiwi yen. This is an interesting one too. Upward on the weekly, certainly an upward swing, possible upward trend, and it's got a lot of push behind it, and new upward on the 4 hour. So it could be a good opportunity as well. Small stop loss. Let's say if you put the place to stop just below your macro level there, 40 or 50 pips for your risk, and you've got 150, 160 pips for your reward here. Obviously, lock in profits as you go. You don't want to be way in profit and then for it to collapse on you and not have those profits locked in. So make sure that you lock in profits whenever you go. Okay, Swiss yen is very similar, but it's a little overbought. It's upward on the weekly, it's upward on the daily, and it's upward on the 4 hourly. So there could be opportunities there for it to move 117. All these yen crosses have been doing very, very similar things. So it's just a matter of looking at the stronger one at that time. But certainly today, euro yen, Swiss yen, and possibly Aussie yen, Kiwi yen, looking at the better opportunities for going long. CAD yen, okay, upward on the weekly, upward on the daily, and upward on the 4 hourly. So, once again, potentially good opportunities here to trade long against the yen. Okay, Euro Aussie, and I just realized I haven't been going over what we said last week, but if you can see here, they're very much the same. Dollar yen long, Euro yen long, pound yen long, Aussie yen long. We've got all the details here, and we'll obviously be posting the new one, written analysis after this video, so make sure you check that out. Okay, Euro Aussie, short provided price remains below 143.46, and there's 143.46. The time now really is to wait. Weekly, it's downward. Daily, it's it's certainly a downward swing, and there could be again a new downward trend trade forming fairly soon. And then on the 4 hour, it's looking like that possibility occurring there as well. This is a little bit more gentler though. If you were going to go short on either the Euro Aussie or the Pound Aussie was the one to take. And here we can see Pound Aussie short provided price remains below 172.14. And let's have a look. 172.14 was way up here. Never really got there. Beautiful trend trade to the downside here. You're really only looking at downward trends. I mean, you can go both directions on any pair at any time, but I think many traders would agree that you want to stay in line with what the overall trend trade is. So here we can see that a new weekly trend trade did form, but it's collapsed on itself, much like we've seen in the other pairs. And why I was saying earlier this week, early in the session, that it looks like there could be a possibility of quite a few pairs going into similar kind of movements. So there's great potential this week. Daily charts, we're looking downward in this newly forming downward trend. So once again, if it breaks 166.45, that would give it even more gusto to the downside. Okay, Euro Kiwi, similar here. Euro Kiwi short provided price remains below 149.67, and also didn't. Oh, actually 149.67. So it's stronger than the euro, sorry, than the pound cross, but downward. It's weekly. Sorry, weekly. It's downward. Daily, a new daily chart of trade setup has formed, and this one's a little tough, so I'd keep that one on the side lines. Sorry, I've got my mouth's getting all jumbled up. Pound Kiwi. Now this is one that we published last week. We published a short, and it's looking very nice here. It's given us a little bit of a run for our money, but short provided price remains. Price drops below 177.07. It did coinciding with this new trend trade. Bit of a correction here, as I was alluding to before, a bit of a run for our money. And the new price slip tested this 177.07 macro level a couple of times, and now it's looking good to the downside. So it would look like being close to our target. So hopefully over the next hour or two, we'll be publishing another target being hit, and we would remain bearish on this particular pair. So Aussie CAD. On all the CADs, short. So on the Aussie CAD, 97.49 is the level. It did stay below that. So weekly, it's downward. Daily, it's downward, and the 4-hour is downward. Although, we've had a bit of a correction here, and it's not the strongest of looking, 4-hour trend trades. So not the easiest one to go for. Euro CAD looks a little bit more definite, but the pound CAD is the one to have caught, during this time. So, you can see here downward on the weekly, downward on the daily, and downward on the 4-hourly. And you can see the same on the euro, downward on the weekly, downward on the daily, new daily down trend forming, and on the 4-hour. That one actually isn't too bad. So it could be a good opportunity here. But, right now we're short on the pound Kiwi. We're long on the dollar yen. And we're recently long on the Aussie yen. Hasn't been moving too much at this stage, but if we can break this high here, then it could make a bit of a bounce, up towards that 86.41. This one's probably the riskier of the two, but considering the other ones, are in profit, it seemed like a fairly reasonable trade to take. Alrighty, so that wraps it up. Thank you very much for your time. I hope this has helped. There's a lot of, in closing, that looks like there's going to be quite a few opportunities this week, which means we'll be issuing a few more signals than we normally do. However, we need to keep that in check as well, so traders don't get themselves in any trouble by maybe over leveraging their accounts with too many trades. And once again, if you do have your indicators, then use them. There's some wonderful opportunities, and you can trade whenever you want. If you don't have them, then upgrade, or if you're already a premium member, download them, install them, and use them. All right. Thanks very much once again. Until next time, good trading, live well, and I'll see you soon.